Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Becoming Branches. My name's Adam Cook. With me, always, Pastor Dustin McKinney. Guys, I got to introduce this guy. Very, very special friend of mine, Rick Ehrhardt. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I can't wait for you to pour in your wisdom, your intellect, and your humor in tonight's podcast.
If I can find it, I'll bring it.
Yeah, high expectations, Rick. I mean,
Yeah, he's a Bears fan.
Yeah, I'm used to that.
Yeah. So,
Cubs,
high
Bears,
expectations.
IU
I'm a Cubs
football,
fan.
Pacers. Oh, same.
true
Yeah.
Cubs fans.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the World Series when you won? 2016?
Yep, 16.
What'd you think?
I ran down the street with sparklers.
Uh-oh.
My wife can verify. I was very excited.
And you?
I did not do that.
Okay.
But I was awake.
That's good.
You can't hurt
It did go really late.
It was really late.
I'm so excited about this series. What are we getting into tonight?
Well, we're getting into a lot of stuff, but the main focus of what we're going to be talking about is a question that many people ask, and that is, where is God in the thick of things?
Sure.
Or where is God when tough times happen?
Sure.
So, Rick, we have asked you to be a guest because you maybe have spent a few more years of life than we have.
I'm old.
Oh, we're going to put a disclaimer. It's going to be...
I would use seasoned.
That's the word I'm looking for.
You're a seasoned veteran Christian.
I kind of like it every time someone else is on the podcast that's older than me, because when it's just Dustin and I'm the old guy. And now I'm like a little spring chicken.
And so you kind of want to say things like, I'm a sage guy, right?
Yeah.
So when you say, where is God in the thick of it? I think of Abraham, God's in the thicket.
Yes.
I actually titled that, Where's God in the
He's
Thicket?
in the thicket.
And
Can that make sense?
my wife was like, it's in the thick of it, not the thicket.
Okay, not bad.
I'm like, okay.
We'll get it right.
Okay.
Eventually.
You want a weird question? We're going to start off with some weird questions because Rick is a very, very smart guy.
You think they're weird? See, I just thought they were basic get to know you questions.
Let's you guys be the judge.
All right.
Comment below. If you could telepathically speak to a species of animal, what species would it be and why?
Please, yes.
Probably a human. Aren't they animals? No, I'd probably pick...
Sorry.
I would pick...
This answer, by the way, hinges all of your credibility.
Yeah, I would pick probably maybe a T-Rex.
Oh,
T-Rex.
all
Yeah.
right. Going big.
They're not going to give you a hug.
And they're not going to punch me out because they have any arms.
Right.
What I'd probably like to do is talk to him about, or her, or they,
Right.
about what really happened and why they...
You're like, was there a comment?
Yeah, did they smoke too much and they died of cancer? I don't know what happened, so I didn't know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
that's a
you go.
good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay, so to give our viewers a little bit of insight on your personality, so you would telepathically talk with a T-Rex. Have you ever insulted a mailman? Why?
Not since this
Why?
morning. I have never assaulted a mailman because I feel like they are unsung heroes.
Because I work for the post office, so you know I'm not stable. Tell them.
This man is totally insane.
Thank you.
It's like a trash man. Are you going to throw crap at the trash man? Hey, trash man, get together. I mean, these guys are out there working their tails off and they get paid pennies, right?
Yeah.
And the mailman, same way.
Yeah.
We give the mail person gifts every Christmas.
Look at you.
We do.
I would say I was a FedEx driver, and around the Christmas holiday season, around this holiday season, actually, this time of year, it was so nice to go up to people's houses, and they'll have coolers and things out that says for FedEx, for UPS, Amazon, mailman, and it was a really pick me up. And it's guys like Rick that really,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about these
The
questions.
wisdom
though.
is already just oozing out of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the main point of tonight, don't forget, tip your waiters and waitresses and make sure you leave Christmas gifts for your mailmen.
That does seem fair, right? Yeah, that seems fair.
It's a good start. Well, I'm glad we got those important questions out of the way because now we're really going to dive into some more lighter stuff.
All right. Yeah.
Why does evil exist? I'm just kidding. We won't go quite that deep. So,
Actually, that was an easy one.
Yeah.
That was the easiest
That really
question.
wasn't.
That was the easiest question you've done.
but for real, Rick, in a, these are short episodes. So the best that you can in like a
Yes.
30 to 60 second version
Okay.
of your testimony
Yes.
of what Jesus Christ has done in your life.
Is how I got born again or since I got born again? Two different things.
Ooh, see the wisdom he's already.
Already bring it in. How did you become born again?
I was dating my wife. I wanted her body. She said, "No way, Renee. No body for you, dude. You got to be born again to even see me again." And so I said, "Okay."
Quick question. So
I
in
have
that
so
time, and I think we've kind of all been there, right? Were you truly seeking Jesus, or were you like, sure, Jesus, that's the checklist to get to you, and I'm going to do it?
Oh, at first,
Yeah.
I was all completely fake.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to date this woman, and if being a Christian, whatever that means, is important to her, I could try that out for a while.
Gotcha.
Right.
She's worth it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And I got hooked, actually. I went to revival in a real small town in Indiana, and it was there that God said, this is for real, and that you're a sinner, and that there's a way out, and it's really pretty simple. And so it was several weeks. It wasn't like it happened overnight as far as my wife saying get saved. Okay, it took a while.
Yeah.
I remember, my parents, God rest both their souls, saying, "What are you, crazy?"
Yeah.
You know,
when you became a Christian, your parents were not necessarily on.
No, they weren't. My mom became one later.
Okay.
But they were. That's all for the weak people, which is, of course, all of us. But
You're like, yes.
But yeah, right. That was a difficult time. But at the end of the day, you take that step forward, not knowing what it means. I know what it meant. I'm not sure I still know what it all means. But you take that step and you don't look back.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So yeah,
Right.
God's grace.
Praise God. So, that's, the reason that we're on this podcast is we know that Jesus makes a difference in a life. I mean, not only in eternity, not only has he saved us for all eternity, but Jesus makes a difference in our life right now.
Right.
And so that's why we call our little podcast, Becoming Branches, because we know that we have to plug into Jesus Christ.
Our job is to abide in that vine.
Right. Remain in me.
Not complicated, really.
Right.
Which is why I can do it.
Yes.
Occasionally.
It is dummy proof. Yeah. So as we get into this question of where's God in the thick of it, where's God in the hard times, we're just going to jump out with a tough question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So can you kind of tell us a little bit about a hard time or times in your life where you were like, I don't know what to do?
Yeah, I have 3 different ones we can bring up. I'll also work with the different episodes, but I can start off when I was younger and we'll progress through the ages. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah.
When we had our first child, son, Hans was born, and right away the doctor, heart murmur, which for babies is not terribly uncommon, right? But for us, go ahead and check it out. He went to Raleigh. He was a few days old. Did an echo and discovered major heart defects, red and blue blood mixing, and all kinds of problems. He was, I think, at that time 9 days old, I believe.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Sure can.
Because we had to do that with our oldest son, Lincoln.
Ooh.
But we came back, everything was fine.
Okay.
And so, we walked out of there praising God, but we knew there are so many families that were not walking out of that hospital with good news. And so you specifically being one of them.
Yeah, and we were surprised, but we didn't know exactly what it meant at that point. It was all brand new information for us. And so when he was 2 months old, Hans went in for a heart cath to see exactly what the damage is and how if they can fix it, and so forth. It was in the morning. We were at Raleigh Hospital. We were in the waiting room, the big lobby waiting with everybody else waiting. It wasn't supposed to be a big deal. And they took him back, and you wave goodbye to your 2-month-old son. And the doc came back in about an hour or so and said, we've had some problems, and you need to understand that your son may not make it. You know, and I'm like looking around, like, you guys, are you talking to somebody behind me, or? He said we've lost him at least 3 times, and we brought him back with we've broken his ribs, he's pumping full of fluids, but his heart's beating really slowly, so we're not sure he's going to be able to make it. So prepare yourselves for what's next. And we're stunned that he walked away. I'll come back and give you an update when I have one. When he came back right away, I knew that Hans had died at that point, because he came back too soon for any kind of good news. Mm-hmm. And he came back and said, well, his heart's still beating slowly, and we're going to take him to emergency surgery to try and fix this issue, at least temporarily, right? So we're stuck. My wife and I are stunned and looking around, and he went through this surgery, and he was still alive when they got done with the surgery. But he was comatose. He was totally out of it for day after day after day after day after day. And I remember the whole time being kind of angry with God, like, why, what's going on, why did this happen, and things we'd all would ask, right? And I remember my pastor telling me, you can yell and scream at God all you want. That's okay, because when you stop yelling, he'll still be there. Mm-hmm. It's okay. So I had my times, I think, kicking and screaming, because I wanted to be in charge I want to be in charge. I want to fix this. It's my son. I remember telling God, this is my only son. And remember God saying, I know that is. I got that. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you do know that, don't you? Ventilator and all that. And one day I was driving through, you've heard this story before, but I was driving through the drive-thru at Hardee's, ordering a box of godforsaken chicken fingers. You get 5 of them in a box, and they're awful. Excuse me. And I got these chicken fingers, and you're going to eat one of them. And I heard God as plain as Adam next to me saying, hey, yes. And God said, you have 2 choices. You can trust that I'm going to do it your way, or that I'm going to do it my way, God's way. I thought, boy, where I'm at right now, I'm not making any difference. I got nothing. So, you know what, God? I give this thing to you. I give it to you. Heart defects, chicken fingers and all. I give up. And I had a peace. One of those times where you hear God talk and you respond with obedience, and there's peace, right? And then the next day, maybe it was 2 days later, I was at work. I had to go to work at some time. My wife was still at the hospital with Hans every day by his bedside. And she called me and I said, honey, your son just pulled his breathing tube out of his mouth by himself. And everybody rushed in there and said, oh my gosh. And look, he's okay. He's still breathing. Yeah. It'll be all right. Angel did it, Hans did it, whatever. But once I gave up control, then that happened. Now, we don't serve a God of formulas, right? But if you recognize you're not in charge, whatever happens, it's going to be okay. So at that point, his recovery began, and it still goes on today, but he's with us. He's a huge part of our lives. He's a follower of Christ. He's one of the nicest young men I've ever meet. Sincere with a big heart. Although it's got a hole in it, it's a big heart. And so I just was so blessed to see what God did in that. But I was slow coming around to letting God be God.
Woo! This is great stuff. We're going to go deeper with Rick. Stick with us for more episodes. Where is God in the thick of it? Stay with us, guys.